Whipple's disease is a chronic systemic illness caused by the bacterium Trophyerma Whipplei. The name comes from its discovery by the pathologist George Whipple in 1907. It is a rod-shaped gram-positive bacterium that is found widespread in the environment, and healthy people are often carriers. The natural source, however, is unknown, but humans are the only known host, and it is often found in sewage. It is believed to be transmitted via the fecal-oral route, and it is typically periodic acid Schiff positive and negative for Ziehl-Neelsen, also known as acid-fast, staining. It only rarely goes on to cause disease, and seems to particularly affect those of white descent, with one review citing 98% of those affected being Caucasian. Some studies have also suggested it is more common in males by up to 8 times. Other potential risk factors include the HLA typing, such as HLA-DRB113. The exact pathophysiology is not fully understood, but appears to involve infiltration of the intestinal mucosa by macrophages taking up the bacterium, and in most cases leads to a self-limiting asymptomatic colonization. But in affected patients, there seems to be a reduced ability to clear the intracellular Trophyerma Whipplei. This theory is supported by reduced CD11b integrin expression on the macrophage, as well as reduced interleukin-12, which impairs phagosome maturation and antigen presentation, and ultimately a reduced ability to kill the bacterium. This also leads to reduced differentiation of Th1 helper cells, which is needed for an effective response against Trophyerma Whipplei. Overall, the impaired clearance of the bacterium results in accumulation inside the macrophages, particularly within the intestinal mucosa. The bacteria are then thought to travel through the lymph ducts into the lymphatic system and eventually the blood, leading to systemic circulation. The clinical features in Whipple's disease can be extremely variable and non-specific, which is often why there is a delay in its identification. Classic Whipple's disease has early, middle, and late disease features. Early phase features, defined as less than 6 years, include intermittent arthralgia, which is typically a seronegative arthralgia affecting multiple joints, often appearing in attacks of erythema, swelling, and pain, and knees, ankles, and wrists seem to be the most commonly affected. There can also be a fever in the early stages. These are seen in approximately 80 to 90% of cases, and often leads to misdiagnosis, with estimates indicating up to 50% of classic Whipple's disease cases were first misdiagnosed and started disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs or steroids, which may even enhance the spread of infection. Middle phase features are defined between 6 and 8 years, include weight loss in 79 to 99% of cases, gastrointestinal upset manifesting with diarrhea in up to 81%, and features of malabsorption like steatorrhea. There can also be abdominal pain, and anemia is seen in around 85% of cases, often as a result of malabsorption. Late phase features, defined as over 8 years, mostly feature neurological symptoms such as abnormal movements like myoclonus, coma, cognitive impairment, and disturbance of ocular movement, especially supranuclear ophthalmoplegia, meaning limitations in the ability to move the eyes, especially upwards, and oculomasticatory myarrhythmia, featuring nystagmus and synchronous contractions of the jaw muscles. Cardiovascular manifestations are rarer, but can feature endocarditis. In some instances, infections can be local rather than systemic. Examples include endocarditis, with an intracellular infection rather than biofilm as in more typical endocarditis. This can result in heart failure, valve destruction, as well as embolic events like acute ischemic stroke. Encephalitis is another, which can feature cognitive impairment, ataxia, and ophthalmoplegia. There also appears to be a correlation with obesity in these patients that is then reversed with antibiotic treatment. Other systems include the lungs, resulting in interstitial lung disease and pulmonary hypertension, and there can be osteoarticular infections or uveitis. There is also an association with acute infections, though there is only limited data. Examples include gastroenteritis, pneumonia, and bacteremia, meaning presence of the bacteria in the blood. The diagnosis involves demonstrating presence of Trophyerma whipplei in the context of clinical suspicion. There are various hierarchies for investigations available, and this one is from the British Medical Journal Best Practice Resource. Suspicion of Whipple's disease leads to a gastroscopy with duodenal biopsies taken and periodic acid shift staining used. This includes in cases with no GI symptoms, as duodenal biopsies may still be positive. In positive cases, polymerase chain reaction, PCR, and immunohistochemistry are done, with either one of those being positive, leading to a confirmed Whipple's disease. In those with initially negative PAS staining, PCR and immunohistochemistry are still done, and if both are positive, this leads to a confirmed Whipple's disease case. Otherwise, more specific biopsies or sampling based on the symptoms is done, for example lymph nodes or heart valves, with PAS staining, PCR, and immunohistochemistry applied. If 2 or more are positive, then Whipple's disease is confirmed. If only 1, then a tentative diagnosis is given. Also note that in all confirmed cases, PCR of cerebrospinal fluid is recommended regardless of symptoms. Antibiotics are the mainstay of treatment, without which Whipple's disease is progressive and fatal. An example of a regimen is intravenous ceftriaxone, benzylpenicillin, or meropenem for 14 days. Doxycycline and hydroxychloroquine is an alternative. Antibiotics will typically lead to a rapid improvement in clinical symptoms, with diarrhea and joint pain typically resolving within a week. Those with central nervous system or cardiac involvement can be difficult to cure. Eradication, however, needs a more prolonged course, therefore this 14-day course is followed by cotrimoxazole for 12 months. However, research has shown that trimethoprim is actually not effective against Trophyerma whipplei, as the target of dihydrofolate reductase is not present, though in some guidelines cotrimoxazole is still recommended. Doxycycline and hydroxychloroquine is another alternative to follow the initial 14 days of treatment. Relapses are possible despite antibiotics, and given the long-term nature of the condition, it is important to recognise that use of corticosteroids and tissue necrosis factor inhibitors can lead to exacerbation and so are typically avoided. One exception is immune reconstitution inflammatory syndrome, IRIS, seen in around 10% of classic Whipple's disease cases treated with antibiotics, as it is thought that Trophyerma whipplei exerts an immunosuppressive effect on CD4 cells. Untreated, IRIS can be fatal.